Hello.
Hello.
How you going?
I'm very well. Yourself?
Good, thank you.
Good, good. Well, it's good evening to you, isn't it?
Yeah, 7:30 here at the moment. It's
It's
good morning there, isn't it?
yeah, it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
Lovely.
I'm still a bit
Groggy.
dreary-eyed and sleep. I've got my coffee.
I wish I could have coffee. It's too late for us here.
I'm going try and get get awake. I'm not a
Would have been
morning.
nice if we could have done it later. Thanks, time zone. Hey.
Yeah. Oh, crikey! I'm just thankful you've given us your time.
No, all good. Anytime.
And I'm just so grateful, really. And I can see all your lovely goodies there in the background. It's.
Yeah.
I think it's going to
I thought
be.
I might as well do it with the good background.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at all the amps and pedals there. It's fantastic,
I
So
think yours looks a little bit better than mine.
I don't know. It's I've had that.
It's very impressive.
I've had that orange amp for I think 15 years now.
Wow,
So I had it.
that's
I had it
awesome.
when it first came out. So. But yeah, no, we've chatted and stuff, and I know you're a huge Orange fan as well, and hopefully we can
Yes,
have a chat about our mutual love of Orange amps, really.
exactly. Let's do that later, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, thank you very much for joining us. It's I know when you first I stumbled across you and you joined the group and stuff, and I thought, especially the image of you with Keith Urban, then it sort of sparks interest, and it's like, who's the
Yeah.
girl that's played on stage with Keith Urban and everything? And yeah, absolute cracking guitarist, and just thank you so much for joining us this morning or this evening for you.
No, thank you for having me. I
So,
appreciate being asked on the show.
hi, you're welcome. So, which part of Australia are you from?
So I'm in Adelaide at the moment, so it's in South Australia.
Yeah,
That's where I am. I'm actually from a town that's 2.5 hours north from Adelaide,
yeah.
but I moved up to Adelaide for study actually. So
And is that
yeah.
Port Perry where you were originally from?
Yes, yes, Port Pirie. Yeah, it's a small town in country SA. There's about 15,000 people roughly.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit less, but yeah. So it's only small, but it's a nice town. I do go back and visit my parents a lot, so which is great.
Yeah. And how does the cultures, how do the places differ from Adelaide to Port Pirie? Is it very different?
It is. So one's more like a country town. So it's like got one main street. We've only got like one set of traffic lights, two if you count one over the bridge where no one goes. But if you think of the city, obviously, high rises, more people. It's more like it's just a country town. That's all Port Pirie is. So
Yeah.
it's very small, but it's good. Everyone knows each other. It's a great place to live. But obviously, I had to go to Adelaide to do my study. So yeah.
Well, my I think I mentioned to you in the message. My girlfriend's daughter is actually in. She moved to Sydney a few years back,
Yeah,
and
I remember you saying actually.
yeah, and her fiance, he's from the north, and he moved to Sydney, and he found it such a culture shock. Yeah,
Yeah.
moving from the country to the sprawling metropolis that is Sydney. Do you know what I mean? And I,
Yes, yes.
I've visited a few times. It's absolutely fantastic. I love the place. You
Yeah,
know,
it's a lovely place.
yeah, absolutely. I've always got my eyes open for bugs and things like that. I'm not very good, not very good when it comes to bugs and creepy crawlies.
I know. Well, we're kind of known for that, aren't we, over here? But if you go to like Sydney and Melbourne and all that, you won't get any of that. It's only if you go near Port Pirie and you go out like where the paddocks are, that's where
Yeah.
you'll get like the snakes and all that. You only need to watch out for magpies here in Australia. They're everywhere, and every Aussie hates them.
Oh, and the eye is it the ibis as well? The ibis birds is it as well? Is it
I
the
don't know. I don't know. I don't know because all Aussies hate magpies, especially in spring. They just come for you, and you go running. It's one of
fair
them
enough.
birds that were like, ah.
I remember we went for a walk around the botanical gardens,
Oh
and
yeah, nice.
there was this huge cobweb, and it was from the tree down to the ground. This huge cobweb was
Yeah,
it's like a net. I was
huge.
like, okay, let's just skip that. Let's walk on by.
Yes.
The other thing I noticed about Australia is that how it differs to the UK is the trees and everything in Australia. They're alive with wildlife, and it's so noisy.
Yes.
Whereas in the UK, the wildlife is a lot sort of gentler and quieter. But yeah, in Australia, they were just making it was just buzzing with noise and activity.
Yep.
It was
Yeah,
quite
I know what you mean.
quite a difference. So, but all righty. Well, look, thanks very much for joining us. You started playing guitar at 8 years old. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah, tell us about that. How did you get into guitar at such a young age?
Well, I actually have a musician so my father's actually a musician, sorry. He plays drums, so he always had instruments laying around the house. So he had a few guitars around, and he always used to have it in the stand in the living room. So he used to pick it up and play it. And as a kid, even when I was younger, I used to grab his pick and just start strumming. Well, as I started to grow, when I got to about 7, I started to start playing some chords with him. And then after that, when I got to about 8, that's when I started going to lessons and all that. So my father actually did get me into music mainly, which the good thing is he's a drummer. So we've actually got to do a little bit together. Like when I do some recordings and stuff, like I'll be like, hey, Dad, can you play drums? It's easier to get a drummer when he lives in the house. So that's kind of how I got into it. And then obviously he knew people he was playing with. So I got to, when I was like even 11 or 12, like he got me into my first cover band, which we were all in, upper primary. And then we went into high school together, which was great. And we were playing like gigs everywhere and doing competitions and things like that. So, he's the one who's really got me into music and really lit that fire in me, like obviously the passion for music. So that's kind of how I got started. And then I just obviously went on and the gear just piled up after that.
Oh, yeah, the gear does pile up, doesn't it? It's often referred to as a rabbit hole, and it definitely is a rabbit hole, isn't it? Once you start putting your foot on the edge of the rabbit hole, you slip very easily,
Yes.
But, it's interesting. I think a lot of musicians, or the musical influences are passed down from parents or siblings and things like that. So is that how it worked for you? Was you sort of listening to music that your dad liked, and did you sort of embrace that and listen to it yourself and enjoy it for yourself? Is that how it went for you?
Well, pretty much, yeah. Like, as in, I've always been a big fan of the band Bon Jovi. And even from a little kid, like, I would be around the house and Dad would be having their tour DVDs on and watching them. So, I've always been influenced by, 80s, 90s rock onwards. So, it's just great because it was like, and then once I started getting into music, it was like I started looking up to people like Richie Sambora and Slash and all these awesome guitarists. Because then it was like, you got my dad going, check out this guitarist. And, if you like Richie Sambora, try and learn a song when I got older and things like that. So, obviously I was heavily influenced as a kid on rock music mainly. It was only recently I started getting into country when I got introduced to, say, like Keith Urban and the Carrie Underwoods and Luke Combs and all that. So
wow. Well, Richie Sambora what a guitarist he is.
Oh no, he's really nice too. I actually got to meet him in person once, which was really great.
Oh, superb. Where did you meet him then?
He was playing with Orianthi at the Gov in Adelaide. It's just a live music venue. And they were dating at the time, and we actually got invited backstage to like meet her and hang with her. And he was there, and I was like, "Oh my God, Richie Sambora is standing in front of me!" Like I was freaking out. But he was super nice. Like he was offering us coffee and tea, and great guy, really nice. And so was Ori. She was really great. So it was actually a really great night.
And again, another superb guitarist, isn't she, Orianthi? She's
very much influenced by her, very much.
yeah, she's she's been on stage with all sorts of people, you know, Carlos Santana and Michael Jackson, and
Steve Vai.
Just phenomenal, isn't she? You know,
great guitarist, very good. Yeah,
absolutely superb, absolutely superb. So with regards to those types of guitarists, is that where your main guitaring style comes from?
Most likely, yes. You know, like I do love some of the earlier stuff too. So like I don't mind listening to the Beatles and Elvis. I'm a big Elvis fan. So I like that sort of stuff. But mainly heavily influenced mainly on Keith Urban, obviously. I've got a very similar sound. I like that country rock, but I do love to really rock out when it comes to it. So mainly I'd say he's my main influence, but I got to admit that Orianthe's very close too. I do a lot of her stuff. I've got a similar style, although I can't play as well, but very similar style to her, because obviously, you know, as a kid, I looked up to her being a female guitarist in the industry from Adelaide, and just, you know, it was great to see that and idolize that from a young age. So they're my two main influences, along with probably Richie Sambora. Probably top three guitarists that influenced me. But yeah, mainly rock and country are my genres, that's where I kind of lie with my skill and techniques and sound.
I stumbled across Keith Urban only quite recently, to be fair. If you can consider how long his career has been, it was only a few years ago that I was listening to some music on YouTube, and then suddenly this song popped up, and it was a live version of "Stupid Boy" by Keith Urban.
Great song.
And I was like, wow, I just love this song. I love how it moves. You know, it starts off nice and gentle, and it's got lots of, and actually the words in it, and if the storytelling of the song, it's really quite nice. And then
it's a lovely song.
It is. It's a lovely song. I really love it. And
it's just like, there's nothing bad about it. It's just like the way it flows, the solos, the acoustic start. It's just, you can't fault it. It's a great song.
It's got everything, hasn't it? And then
it's one of those songs.
And then he plays this wonderful solo at the end, and on the live version, I can't know where it is, but the stage goes out into the crowd, and he walks out along this stage, and he's playing his solo. And I thought, that is just so cool. You know? But he's a great guitarist, isn't he? Great session guitarist, and brilliant singer, songwriter. He's got everything, hasn't he?
He's got everything. He's like the whole package. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Nice guy. So
have you met him too? Then, of course you've been on stage. Yeah, you've been on stage with him, haven't you? Yeah. So how did that all come about? Because didn't he see one of your videos and invite you on a tour?
So I posted a video of me playing one of his songs called Better Half, and I posted just the solo, and he was doing a Twitter Q&A in Sydney, and he was actually on his Australian tour at that point in time, and he was about to go and play his last two shows of the tour in Brisbane. So anyway, I sent him this video, tagged him, and in the Q&A, the last one he went on was mine, and he sent me a video back saying, that was basically such a cool video, come and play, we'll get in touch with you and work out how to happen. So he played the Friday night, and then he invited me to play the Saturday night, but he actually contacted me on the Friday. So I had literally 24 hours to get ready to get to Brisbane to play from Adelaide. So it was unbelievably quick, and I was at work when this happened. So it's like, you know, what do? They were like, go home, go pack, go get ready. Within half an hour, his manager's calling me and going, Keith wants you to play. How can we get this to happen? So I was like, well, I'm in Adelaide. And they're like, can you get yourself to Brisbane? I'm like, yes, I can do that. And then they're working out guitars. They're like, do you want to use your own or do you want to use Keith's? I said, I'm not fussed. They're like, look, Keith's happy for you to use his, just use his. And I'm like, oh, sure, no worries. So booked everything. The Saturday, I had like an early flight, got there. Then I got a message, sound check was at 3. So I rocked up through the back entrance. I was like, how is this real? Walked through. He wasn't actually there yet. He was still coming. So they're like putting all my in-ears on and all the packs on my back. And then they're like, which guitar do you want to use? They're like, you can use Nathan's telly, or you can use Keith Strat, or you can use this 335, or whatever you choose.
Oh,
And I'm like, I normally play a Strat. So he hands me this 64 Strat and goes, here you go, Keith is happy for you to play this. And I'm like, but this is like touching gold. Like, what are you doing, you know? So I put it on. Next minute, Keith taps me on the shoulder. I turn around and it's him. And he's like, hi, Ellen, nice to see you. You know, thanks for doing this, da da da. And then we were speaking about the song because I actually wasn't supposed to do Good Thing. So I was actually supposed to play Boy Gets a Truck. And anyway, then we started talking and he's like, you know what? Is it okay if we change the song on you? And I'm like, sure, like, no worries. And he's like, let's play Good Thing. I'm like, oh, I like that song. Let's do it. So we sound checked it. I think we did about once. And then we ended up speaking for like 50 minutes to an hour. And then basically he was like, stay for dinner. So we actually had dinner, which was good. I met his brother and his mum. Kerry Underwood was there. So I got to meet her and her band, chill backstage. And then it was like, when you hear this song, go to side stage. They're going to put everything on you and then like walk on the stage when Keith gives you the cue. So it was like, walk on the stage, play the song, see, you know, 17,000 people staring at you going, oh God. But you know what? It was like, as soon as you started playing, it was like, you just felt comfortable because Keith is such a nice guy and his band were.
yeah.
So played that and then basically walked off the stage and just at the end of the night, said thank you to Keith. Got to watch the show from side stage. So great night, you know, such a nice guy. He was so accommodating. Like he couldn't do enough of it. They were trying to find me a dressing room. I'm like, look, it's fine. I'll just, you know, get changed in the toilet. Relax, you know, like it's okay. And they're like, look, do you need anything? Do you need water? This? I'm like, it's okay. Relax.
I think
so they were really nice.
I think I might have milked it and said, yeah, get me a dressing room.
I was like, look, it's fine. It's okay. They're like, no,
wow.
no, we're so sorry. So yeah.
What an incredible experience. And how long did it take you to come down off the high from that?
Well, it was like I woke up the next day and I was like, oh, that was such a good, you know, you think it's a dream, you know, that's such a good dream. And then because I had to fly back and I had a flight at like, I think it was 3 o'clock or something. So I'm walking through the airport and people are like staring at me. And it was so fun because when we got into the elevator to go up to where you check in, we're in the elevator and all these people had like Keith Urban tops on and they're like staring at me. And Dad's like looking at me because I went with Dad up there. And I walked out and they're like, are you that chick that played with Keith? And then I'm walking through the airport and all these people are just coming up to me and going, you know, can we have a photo? You know, like, wow, that was so cool. Are you the chick? This and that. And I'm like, I'm going to miss my flight, but sure. You know? So I was like, yeah, sure. And then I get to Adelaide and there's still people doing it because they obviously come off the flight. And then it was like everyone was ringing me trying to get interviews and stuff. And then I went to bed and then I had American people trying to ring me, you know, for like news stories. And I'm like half asleep. But it was really cool. The high, I reckon, I come down probably that next year.
Was that 2016? Was it 2016?
It was, yeah, December 2016. It was. So Crikey. It was awesome.
What an experience! I mean, that is just. I mean, what a nice thing for him to do as well. Because
yes,
I would even guess that's helped your career.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, he's actually, you know, like he was telling me, because I'm not actually a singer. I've only just started singing probably about just after that happened. So the year after I started getting serious about my singing, because he's like, you should actually start, you know, like getting in the studio and writing some songs and playing some songs. Because he's like, you're really good, you know. And he's like, maybe start singing. And I'm like, I do sing here and there, because, you know, when you're playing cover bands, you just sing a song here and there to give the singer a break. And he's like, seriously, he goes, just start like, you know, doing your own thing, because what you're doing is great. So I've actually started slowly doing some originals and getting my sound and things like that. So, which is good. So hopefully that will be coming out next year or the year after. I'm still working out with people what's going to happen. But yeah, so because of him, I'm going to actually release my own music and start to pursue obviously my career like I've been doing it. So yeah, he's a big thankful for him. Great guy. Yeah.
What a story. That's so nice to